Hey, good morning YouTube, and welcome to Zona Aquariums. We're a new channel, so we've got some changes happening, and some of them are pretty significant, right? First and foremost, I am using my wife's DSL instead of my cell phone. Hopefully the quality's better and the sound isn't any worse. Let me know what you guys think. Is it worth the extra effort of using the camera versus the phone? And of course, a big shout out to my wife for letting me use her camera. We ordered some fish, or we are in the process of ordering some fish for the 180-gallon aquarium you see behind me. I found a proverbial fish farm in Florida. But I found them through Aquabid. Living Art, I think, is the name. They have guaranteed live arrival, and they include shipping. And when you start to figure out the cost of express shipping plus the fish, they really are my best option. So I'm getting 6 Boesemani and 6 Bletheri rainbow fish. And I'm also ordering 4 long-finned super red Ancestris plecos. So I decided against putting dwarf cichlids in here. I'm just going to put a colony of plecos, Ancestris plecos, and see if we get some community breeding from them. Now, before that, I have actually already purchased 3 short-finned albino bushy nose plecos, or Ancestris plecos, and they're in the quarantine tank that I did the video of in the living room. Problem is that it's very opaque and you really can't see the fish, and while these guys look like they're pretty strong and healthy, I've had some issues in the past where fish have come in, gotten ick, or some cotton mouth, and if that were to happen in the quarantine tank that I made out of the storage container, I don't think I would really be able to see it. So it turns out Petco has their $1 a gallon sale going on right now, and I decided to pick up another 29-gallon tank that I could use as my quarantine. Now, the tank in my living room is a Marineland 29-gallon tank, and it came with a hard plastic top. So the thought process was buy another 29-gallon tank. They're all pretty standard size. I can use the hard plastic top on my quarantine tank because if you're not aware, rainbow fish are jumpers, and so you really need to have a good fitting lid on your aquarium. Turns out Marineland, which is what PetSmart sells, and Aqueon, which is what Petco sells, do not actually have the exact same measurements, and the entire Marineland lid would fit inside the plastic trim of the Aqueon tank. So that necessitated a swap out. I needed to take the 29-gallon that's in the living room, bring it into the fish room, and set up the new 29-gallon tank with my South American fish in the living room. Some neon tetras and corridors, autocyclus catfish, things like that. Anyways, there's going to be a video very soon about the process of swapping out the tank, because the new tank went into the exact same spot. So that's kind of cool, but that means now I have a 29-gallon tank here in the fish room. I have a 10-gallon tank here in the fish room. I got the 180 behind me. I have a 40-gallon breeder that has my native large millipede collection in it. So that's what I mean. Things are changing really, really fast. So the 29-gallon that's going to be in the fish room, I decided that it will stay with a substrate. It's going to be planted with a lot of narrow leaf Sagittaria. this is kind of out of order, but while I was breaking down the 29 gallon, I pulled out a big, massive carpet of this narrowleaf Sagittaria. So I'm going to put it into the quarantine tank because that will make the rainbow fish and the Plecostomus probably a little bit more comfortable. And then we'll see what ultimately happens with that tank. As I mentioned when I did the video on the quarantine tank, I would like to eventually try breeding some of these fish. You know, that's why we only got 6 Boesemani and 6 Bletheri for 180 gallon, is once they start to mature, I'd like to pick out a pair and maybe try and breed them. So that tank is going to stay up and running pretty much in perpetuity. And the 10 gallon will really be the quarantine tank. So now that means I am going to have 7 Ancestris plecos, and one of the things about plecos is they love caves. They like tight-fitting caves, and they like to own their own cave. So off of Amazon, I ordered these terracotta watering spikes. I'll put a link to the exact ones that I bought, but they came 10 to a pack. And I want to say it was about $22 or $23, but you should be aware that they took a big hard smack in their insulated box. They're clearly not packaged as great as they could be because it's pretty well broken. But that's okay, because what I think I'm going to do is take this broken one and probably put it into the 29 gallon that's in the living room. You know, we can kind of bury it or something like that. It's got some pretty small fish. Maybe it'll go into the quarantine tank, right? Because those will be really, really small. But you should be aware that even though they're about the cheapest ones that I found per unit, and I knew I wanted a bunch of them, clearly they can get damaged in transit. So, drop the broken pieces into the sump. They could become some form of biological media, right? So some of these, what I'm going to actually do is try and buy some moss, or buy some moss, maybe some Anubias, and glue it to the top before they go into the tank, so that they have a chance to kind of grow over. But yeah, that's everything that's going on. So, if this is the kind of stuff that interests you, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Even better, hit the bell so you're notified when new videos come out. Obviously, if you like the video, thumbs up are really appreciated, and comments, right? I'm brand new to the hobby. I have a 29 gallon tank for about 3 or 4 months. And then I managed to acquire this 180 gallon tank behind me pretty cheap. I mean, it's got a lot of crazing in it, and I really had to do a lot of work to try and restore it. But it gives me the opportunity to learn on a large scale, which is something that I like to do. So, I hope you enjoyed the journey. Thanks for joining us, guys.